okay? So the AFC 7 seed, that will be decided this weekend. Broncos, Bengals, and Dolphins. Denver just needs a win to get in. AFC North is going to be decided tomorrow. Steelers, Ravens. If Baltimore wins and they're an 18-point favorite against Cleveland, they win the division. Same situation with the NFC South. Buccaneers just need a win over the Saints, then they get that division crown. And then the most intriguing race maybe ever comes down Sunday night between Minnesota and Detroit. Winner gets the North, winner gets the 1 seed, winner gets the bye, winner gets home field advantage, loser winds up a wild card. Couldn't be more important. So let's get some X factors in that game. Marcus, what is your X factor for the Lions and Vikings on Sunday night?
I'm going to go Jordan Addison in this game. Obviously, we know about Justin Jefferson and T.J. Hawkinson, but at times when you get these opportunities match up one-on-one, and quarterbacks, I'm telling you right now, stay away from Kirby Joseph. And that may be Addison more than it is Justin Jefferson with some help over the top. I think Jordan Addison can be the difference maker in this game.
Graziano, give me an X factor Sunday night.
I want to see what Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson has in his bag in terms of trick plays this week. Seems like he pulls out something different every week. The Vikings defense has been confusing opposing offenses all year long, but Detroit has a great counterpunch because you never know what Ben Johnson is going to come up with at a key point in the game.
Dan has this game for us at ESPN on Sunday night.
Let's go, big fella.
We'll get more of that. Bartholomew, give me an X factor for Sunday night.
Well, part of Ben Johnson's answer to the blitz is always Amon St. Brown, who ate them up in the first game, going for over 100 yards receiving. You talk about Jared Goff. He's protected and he goes for over 77% completion rate against the blitz against Brian Flores. So, it's going to be a lot about Amon St. Brown. He's also the heartbeat. He reminds me of a little Steve Smith, man. He's a tough little pocket guy, and he gets it done, man. He knows how to find the end zone.
All right, so as we take a look at this, and it's impossible to overstate the significance of this game as we set it up. And by now, you've been aware of it all week long. The winner gets everything. The loser winds up like potentially in Tampa next Saturday. So there is everything in the world at stake here.
Warm, at least.
So when we come in on Monday morning, when we're sitting here Monday morning doing Get Up, Marcus, what are we going to say was the difference? What will decide this game on Sunday night?
Yeah, look, G, it's this offensive line for the Minnesota Vikings and making sure that they stay multidimensional, because I don't think Detroit can cover them. And it's because of the injuries. It has nothing to do with what this team was prior to. I think the injuries is where this catches up with you when you arguably got the best wide receiver in the NFL. You got a quarterback that is as hot as anybody has been down this stretch. And I don't see any reason why Sam Darnold's confidence would be shaken because it's the Detroit Lions. The other thing is this too, man. When you look at Kevin O'Connell, and you think about, because we talk about Ben Johnson, and obviously it's always the offensive coordinator who gets to talk about how well of a job he's doing from an offensive standpoint. Kevin O'Connell, to me, is the coach that can take the most advantage of your losses when it comes to the injured guys on defense. And I'll be interested to see how they deploy this game plan. But I think this offensive line protecting Sam Darnold and making sure that you can get those opportunities downfield one-on-one. Because if you're Aaron Glenn, you have to create pressure in order to try to beat the Minnesota Vikings. There is no more sitting back and we're going to play this thing the long, hard way.
Matt, put the picks up on the screen because there's a gentleman by the name of Bart Scott Sr. in Detroit this morning who's going to be very unhappy with his son.
What, Bart?
Why?
Yeah, he just spit his cognac out, too. I know it early.
Why Minnesota?
I just think that, the injuries are just too much. And I think Brian Flores, if they are successful, it's going to be because they find opportunities to turn the ball over. Listen, you talk about the Lions. They do a great job in really devising these blitzes and finding the holds. But, I just think it's just too much to ask. I think Sam Darnold's playing at a high level. I think those two guys on the outside is the bigger difference. Even though I love the Lions safeties. I think it's the best tandem, and Kirby Joseph should be Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion.
Graziano, you'll be there. You'll be covering the game for us. What do we need to know as you get set for it?
So Alex Anzalone, who's a Lions linebacker that broke his arm in Week 11, there's a chance, it's not 100%, there's a chance he comes back and plays this week. Talking to some players on their defense, that would be exciting for them. They feel like he's a leader, the guy that gets everybody set up, green dot guy on the defense. So that would be massive. I was talking to DJ Reader, one of their defensive tackles. He said, you look on tape and Sam Darnold's just consistently making really good decisions. Reader was funny. He was like, it's actually a great story. I said, aren't you guys trying to beat this guy? He goes, yeah, but I'm a fan too. So anyway, they said they want to get him off his spot. It's damn good against pressure. You don't want to necessarily flush him out of the pocket, but they want to just rattle him a little bit, see if that affects his downfield throws.
Here you go. Graziano, talk to me. Lots of significant injury news going into the final weekend. What's going on with Jalen Hurts?
Rouse, hurry up.
The concussion protocol, he had that concussion against Washington in Week 16. Still hasn't practiced. Look, he might not have played this week anyway with the Eagles resting everybody. This is worth keeping an eye on. I've been told he's making slow progress through the concussion protocol, so hopefully it clears up in time for him to practice next week and play in their playoff game. But it's worth monitoring in the meantime. In Miami, this is one that does have an impact on this week. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa dealing with a hip injury. He has been, Tua Tagovailoa this is, has been limited in practice every day this week, but that was the same thing last week, and he didn't play because they didn't like the way his body responded to the practice work he got. They're preparing Tyler Huntley as if he's going to start. Dolphins need to win this game and get help if they're going to get into the playoffs, so obviously they're hopeful on Tua, but it doesn't look great. And then Cincinnati tomorrow night has a couple of guys questionable. T. Higgins, their wide receiver, has ankle and knee injuries listed as questionable, but he was last week too, and he ended up scoring 3 touchdowns. So the belief there is he'll be fine. Chase Brown, the running back, injured his ankle late in that game. He is questionable, hasn't been able to practice yet this week, so he's a true game time or game day decision. They called up another running back from the practice squad yesterday, which isn't really a great sign, but they're hopeful that he'll wake up tomorrow and feel good enough to play.
Massive implications on the line Saturday for those games. Our ESPN NFL doubleheader, Pittsburgh and Baltimore both have everything in the world at stake here. If the Ravens lose to the Browns, and what a surprise that would be, and the Steelers beat the Bengals, Pittsburgh wins the division. If the Ravens win, they get the North. The Steelers are a wild card, but the Steelers would still have a lot to play for, because if they win, they're the 5 seed and they go to Houston. If they lose, they could drop to the 6 seed and wind up playing at Baltimore. So you tell me which of those games you would rather have. Don't bother, it's a rhetorical question. So let me come over to you. I feel have been saying all year long, you just have not been buying into the Steelers. These last 3 games certainly have given you plenty of ammunition.
Yeah, I mean, because it's been a mirage. We've seen this story from the Steelers for the last couple of years, right? Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in all of football. He's not going to lose, and the team's not going to beat themselves. But, you know, in recent times, now they had to step up to the varsity. You've seen Russell Wilson burping the baby. You know, Himbo hit me with a good stat. You know, he's been sacked 10 times in the last 3 games, which puts them in a place where their offense just isn't equipped to be able to recover from. And also, he's had 3 interceptions and fumbles as well. That's a bad recipe for success. And we've seen this the last 4 times Mike Tomlin's been in the postseason. He's been one and done. And I don't see anything changing that unless they get the Houston Texans in the playoffs. But, you know, everybody else I think is Baltimore, it's Buffalo, it's Kansas City, and everybody else is on a whole another level.
Marcus, were the Steelers just not for real all year long? Are they a one-and-done team in this year's tournament?
I think they are one and done, but it's so hard with this team, right? Because this is how I think about the Steelers, Grimes and Bart. Sometimes the talent explodes and they win a game, and it's like, how in the hell? Yeah. But it's because T.J. Watt had a sack fumble or Ali Highsmith. Those are always possibilities. So whether you're a team that's looking at Pittsburgh the past couple of weeks, you look at them against Kansas City, only put 10 points on the board, you better make sure that when you get to that 3-hour game in the playoffs, and that's the beauty of the postseason. It's 3 hours. A few plays can change the outcome, but you cannot forget that on the defensive side of the ball, these dudes have dudes that can absolutely wreck a game. Now, offensively, I thought they were frauds all season long. Russ came in and threw the ball high and deep to George Pickens, but it was never a consistency to the offense or something you could look at and say they can hang their hat on this when they get to the playoffs. Just be cautious of that dude number 90 and Highsmith and all of the and Hayward as well.
And that's the key, but that's been kind of missing here the last couple of weeks.
That's my point, right?
So I think for most of the year, they were getting the most they could get out of that offense, right? Like which wasn't a ton, right? Because they're limited. And we saw when Pickens got hurt how limited they really were. Haven't really been able to get the run game going consistently. But the whole idea was we'll maximize this offense. Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, has done a good job getting the most you can out of Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. The defense has to be elite if you're going to win games in Pittsburgh. And right now it has not been playing that way. T.J. Watt is not having his normal kind of dominant season.
At risk.
You're absolutely right. Could he wreck a game at any time? Him, Highsmith, Minkah Fitzpatrick. I mean, these are real legitimate playmakers on defense. But if they're not playing their absolute best, it's very hard to count on this Pittsburgh offense to win a game.
Quickly, Matt, put the picks up on the screen just so we see from this game. Again, we don't know exactly what will be at stake, but Bart, you like the Bengals and Burrow.
Listen, that offense is special, elite. It's one of the best offenses I've seen in the NFL for a long time. And listen, they have to outscore everybody. I understand that. But like I said before, if Burrow, any other regular season that Lamar and Josh weren't doing this, he would be the front runner for MVP because he's carried this team. This defense has been a liability. You saw against Denver, they let Bo Nix go off on them. And Joe Burrow's just like, okay, I got it. Give me the ball. I'll get it back. And T. Higgins, they better find a way to sign him as well. Now, I'm concerned with Brown and his injury because you want to have some semblance of a running game. But this is the most dangerous team if they get in. Nobody wants to see them, Ravens and Kansas City included.
It'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out because if and when the Ravens win in the afternoon game, again, they're an 18-point favorite, and Bailey Zappi is starting for Cleveland. Stranger things have happened.
What are you trying to say?
Well,
yeah. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say stranger things have happened, but none that jump immediately to mind. So we'll see if the Steelers, let's see how they handle the game. Anyway, our Week 18 NFL regular season finale, the all AFC North games tomorrow on Saturday. It's Lamar and the Ravens. They need to win to wrap up the division. That's 4:30 Eastern. Then Russ and the Steelers, Burrow and the Bengals. Win or you're done.